All right. Good morning from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I know it's a beautiful evening over there in California and wherever else you guys are at. I want to thank you guys for coming on and having a short BitClub Network webinar. I promise the next 3 hours are going to go by really quick. I'm just kidding. It'll probably be about an hour or 45 minutes. I'll do my best to get through it quickly. I'll open up the lines for question and answers as we go. If you have anything, just shoot me a text on the message board or send me a text via Xapo. All right, so BitClub Network, it's a global wealth building company for the digital currency market. That was its primary purpose. That's what we started with. Bitcoin mining. So Bitcoin is the world's first digital currency that is decentralized, not controlled by any government or institution. Bitcoin is sent using the internet directly person to person. There's no third party here. You don't need a bank. You are the bank when you're dealing in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is safe, fast, and anonymous way to send money. When we say fast, we mean instant. Anywhere in the world, the biggest transaction was done for about $6 million, and it costed, I think, 6 pennies. The word anonymous here is not for you to be worried or alarmed. It's to be protected, as when you do business online, you don't have to give up your personal identification. When you use your credit cards or checking, you give a piece of your information to everyone in the world who has access to this. And so with Bitcoin, it's called a push system. With a credit card merchant processing system, it's called a pull system. They pull your identification, they verify this is true and that's true, and then they extract the funds. With Bitcoin, all you do is have a registered address or registered link, and that link will automatically just transfer the desired amount or desired information, but nothing more than that. And you can also put notes in there. Anyone can set up a Bitcoin account. There's no qualifications. And the word anyone is very, very important to you and I today, since there's about 5.3 billion people in the world. We're talking over of the world has no access to checking accounts, MasterCard and Visas, and all the different things that we take for full granted around the world. They don't have access to it. So if there's problems and situations, their money is not big enough to be in the banks to be used and done transactions wise and be protected. Their money is stored under their mattress. It's stored in the backyard. And if there's ever a disaster or situation that happens, they lose everything. And that money is never to be recovered. Much more on that. There's no fees, no chargebacks, and no borders. Think of Bitcoin as the internet. The internet is everywhere but nowhere, and so is Bitcoin. The no chargeback, there's no fraudulent activity in the Bitcoin space. Either you have the Bitcoin or you don't have the Bitcoin. There's no kiting of checks or money being floated. Either your net worth is what you say it is or it's not. And that's the way Bitcoin works. The no fees, when we say no fees, we're talking pennies to do transactions in the millions. So who's using Bitcoin today? There's lots of places like subways around the country in the U.S. that you can actually go and use Bitcoin at. You can use Bitcoin at for travel. You can use it for cheap air. My better half, Janet, is there someplace on the webinar, and her and I have traveled around the world using cheapair.com to buy all of our airline tickets. As a matter of fact, there's a group on the webinar where we just bought some tickets. I showed them in real time. It took 2-3 minutes and it was done. Expedia.com. You can go to Expedia and book all your travel as far as your stay is concerned and pay with Bitcoin. Dish Network, Dell Computers, multi-billion-dollar companies like Overstock.com. Gift.com is a wonderful place. Gift with a Y. If you don't have it on your phone, download it. It's a great app. You can buy over 200 and something merchant gift cards using Bitcoin in real time. Many places around the world. Now you got really big big things happening with Virgin Galactic. You can literally fly to outer space with Bitcoin now. PayPal has just announced that they're doing some type of transaction that's going to be very big for Bitcoin. They just hired a new consultant that's a CEO of a Bitcoin merchant processing. Microsoft for Xbox, kids all over the world and adults can use that to buy their games and stuff. So if you understand the thing about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is very unique in that Bitcoin has a set of rules that were programmed. And these rules were programmed very early by Satoshi Nakamoto, whether that person is a he or a she or a group. All the name means is the truth lies within. So every 10 minutes, new Bitcoins are released to the miners as a reward. This will happen to the year 2140. I keep trying to figure out how old I'm going to be in 2140 for the next 125 more years, when all 21 Bitcoins will create scarcity and prevent inflation. Bitcoin is a anti-inflationary money. Today, the dollar bill is worth 4 pennies of its buying power from 100 years ago. And every currency around the world literally has devalued itself over 95% or more. And these are simple statistics you can find on Google. And power is not the same. And some of us who are in our mid-40s or older remember when a loaf of bread and cheese and bologna and all kinds of good stuff costed $2. Today, you can't even buy a loaf of bread for $2. So in 2009, the technology was released. Every 10 was a block of 50 Bitcoin that had about zero value to it. That happened for the next few years. And then a crucial moment happens where the anti-inflationary situation happens, where you can no longer print anymore, and then the supply gets cut in half. So the supply of Bitcoin gets reduced every 4 years. Now that went to 25 Bitcoin, and that happened for the next 210,000 blocks, which is around four years. Now, for those of us who have been here for almost 2 years, and those of us who have been here for less than 2 days, there's a wonderful, absolutely incredible situation happening here in July. We are going to have our next halving. It's a massive milestone in the Bitcoin arena. This is going to change almost everything. In the very beginning, in 2010, there was a sale of 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. Now, these 2 pizzas didn't have anything special. They were Papa John pizzas. But the Bitcoins had nothing special other than the idea that somebody was willing to give $25 for 10,000 of them. That gave a value at the current moment of Bitcoin was 4 Bitcoin for 1 penny. Today's Bitcoin is over $400. At that same value, it'd be $4 million plus dollars for $25 worth of Bitcoin. I want you to remember this number because it's very important when I start telling you the incredible opportunity that has happened and that is happening and that will happen in the Bitcoin space. We are currently going into July in a very short few months. And what's happened is this supply is going to be getting cut in half every 4 years, yet the demand is constantly having pressure. And right now, Bitcoin's in the 400s. It is fully projected to hit over 10,000 in the next 2 to 3 years. Now, when I give you the example of 400 and it's going to go to 10,000, am I really stretching my imagination when I said Bitcoin was 4 Bitcoin for 1 penny and today it's 400? Just keep that in mind. BitClub Network created something very important. We thought there was mining activity in the Bitcoin space. We saw there was an opportunity, but we also saw a few problems. The math was always going to get more difficult because this is a free-for-all. Whoever has the most power can get the Bitcoin every 10 minutes. So we knew the math difficulty that Satoshi Nakamoto launched that would always get more difficult in order to prevent someone to control this. We also knew that the equipment was going to get old every single time. The new generation would come in, the old one would be obsolete. How do we fix that? How do we solve this problem? We came out with this unique mining share pool for 600 days, and we allowed the system to find a mathematical equation where it would get a repurchase from all the money it paid out every time it gave you a commission on the earnings of Bitcoin through BitClub Network. It would take a portion and never ask you for another dollar. These repurchases pay you every day in Bitcoin, and they generate over time a full partial share. And these partial shares literally contribute to an entire new contract. Now you have two contracts going at the same time. Now these two contracts all start paying you double income, and over the next few hundred days, you're going to end up with a third one. Your first one might fall off. I'm not sure exactly your time frame when you joined, but we've looked at all the people who joined about 500 days ago, and most of us are making almost 2.5 times more than we did when we started. So this is a very complex mathematic. I don't expect you to understand how compound interest works or how compound money works, but I do want you to stress one thing. You buy one time, we pay you every single day in perpetuity. Perpetuity says that when we mine, you get paid. When we mine, you get paid. All the time we make money, you get paid, and all of our system is third-party validated. It is literally like being in the public market. We believe we solved the problem. The daily Bitcoin number of transactions continuously went up, exponential growth after its second and third year Bitcoin's launched in the world. And people have noticed this over and over again. And lots of little windows of Bitcoin spikes from nickels and pennies to dollars. When it hit par with a dollar, it freaked the world out. When it went to $10, the world woke up and noticed. $12, 16, 18, 20, 50, 100, 75. It just kept climbing and climbing. And Bitcoin has its own little windows and bubbles. But more importantly, what Bitcoin has done is Bitcoin has literally had the potential to make the world a new currency where the global platform is receptive now. And the richest and smartest people are already parked here and paying attention to this. Let's take a standard investment into the stock market, Forex, metals, and then Bitcoin long. If you take those same Bitcoin and work it in BitClub Network, we're going to give you some examples here. If you take 3,600 into stocks or Forex or metals, and most people believe that it's possible, but not plausible, that most stocks or investments will go to zero. It's possible, but not likely. But if you did well, you can double your money in the next 2 or 3 years. Most people believe that. And if Warren Buffett gave you a little bit of advice, maybe you can triple your money. Maybe you can triple it. People believe that's possible. If you take the Bitcoin over the next 2 or 3 years, where all the experts are estimating Bitcoin could go to 10,000, and you bought some Bitcoin, and the value of 3,600 in Bitcoin is about 8.5 Bitcoin. When we started, it was about 15 Bitcoin. Today, it's 8.5 because the price is over 400. And if you look at the Bitcoin at 10,000, that would be $85,000. Now, if they're half right, half wrong, everyone in the room believes that that would have been a very good investment. Could Bitcoin go to zero? Possible, but not plausible. Simply because the richest and smartest people have girded their hundreds of millions of dollars and now over 1.1 billion to make this thing a very universal platform. Take the same Bitcoin in BitClub Network, and now you can have a return of 30 more Bitcoin, 50 more Bitcoin, 70 more Bitcoin at $10,000. Now, I don't have to really give you too much rocket science that if the price never changed and you still had your 8.5 Bitcoin at 400, would still been a great investment because you didn't lose anything. You made a slightly gains. But if the Bitcoin never changed, but yet your Bitcoin mining made you 30 more Bitcoin, would that have been a good place to park your money? That's your plan B with Bitcoin. So back office, my back office is called a monster. That's considered the largest, the highest position in the company, and that's what I am. And so I just call my name that when I switch my name over. And early on, we watched our system, and we learned something about compounding. We learned to put our accounts at 100%. And yes, you can select the difference on your accounts, but they come preset. They come preset at 50% of the 500, of 60% of the 1,000, and 70% of the 2,000 is your profit. The difference goes back in to keep you in business as a maintenance fee, as an upkeep, as qualifying for new machines, and to keep you making money in perpetuity. Now, my account started out at 1. It was a few hundred days. I think it was something like 200 and something days when I noticed my accounts had 1.6. They almost went 1.5 times more, and accounts double. I watched my earnings pay me too, and my account about 400 and something days, it went into 2.6, 2.12, 2.03. Today, my account has exponentially grown. I've got a 17.32 point Bitcoin mining capacity. I've earned all my money many times over, and I've used this business as a franchise, and I've earned substantial money. I mean, substantial, life-changing money. This is what we call our humble beginnings. This was Washington in 2014, 2015, where we learned something very, very, very unique time. We learned that the machines were going to get old, and we learned that we had to buy new ones. And this is where the formula came out, that we had to upgrade. And so we were able to actually go from what they call an S3 to an S4, sell the other ones off, get the S5, sell the other ones off, jump to S7s. Now, but we've been able to recycle for more than we've bought the equipment or the same after we've used it. Now, that is a very good deal in our business model. Our current facility in Iceland, this facility is in a compound. I think it's 43-acre compound. It's massive. There's other Bitcoin miners there who we are not privy to share that with, but we are there physically. You can go visit it. I don't suggest it, but you could. It's not a cheap ticket, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And by the time you drive there for an hour to get there from the airport, you'll walk around for 5 minutes, and your visit's over, because that's how long it takes to see all the machinery. But this is happening in real time. We actually have live footage of this, and currently we cut a deal early this year, late December, early January, with a company called BitFury. Now I'm going to show you guys a quick little video, and I hope you guys can hear this, okay?
So one tank is a petahash. There's a gun, here it is going. Almost going to be double-sided. That's pretty.
Now, I'm going to end the video there because there's some people in the room that should not be exposed to what we're doing. So those machines that I just showed you inside these tanks, I hope you guys were able to see them, even if you didn't hear them. Those machines are in a very liquid-cooled, specific temperature to keep the machines from getting hot. Now, I don't know if you noticed our other machines, how different they were. These machines are the next level of generation of Bitcoin mining. They are the future today. These are a year and a half ahead of wherever machines are out there today. We just spent $17.5 million contract with these guys, with a $50 million contract for the next 12 months. And BitClub Network went from a very small 1% of the pie chart when we got started. And you have no idea. We were so excited and proud to be 1% of the global market. and struggled and fought for 3%. And this happened all of 2015. Early on here, we hit 5%. And we started getting what they call the big boy party. And then early January, we hit 9% of the market. Now, this is a fluctuating market, but the pie is always getting bigger, and depends on who's doing what when, is when your share shows up at a different point. But this last 28 days, we know we mined over $1 million in Bitcoin with a full potential market value that Bitcoin could double, triple, quadruple in the next 6, 12, 18 months. It can literally go 20 times more to 10,000. For our members, this is massive amounts of money. So all this money gets started for you and I to understand what's going on. There's this private sector called venture capital. This is where all the richest and smartest people have been talking about this for 3 years. And literally, it's gone from 2012 to 2,103,000 investments. These numbers are in millions. 95.5 million in 2013. 2014, 361 million. And 2015, 622 million. An all-time high in January was 1,081 million. This is for you and I to feel warm and fuzzy about Bitcoin. Nothing more. Well, the more is the richest people in the world are going to get very, very richer. People like Sir Richard Branson are involved here. People like the Winklevoss twins from Facebook. Bill Gates himself says cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is better than money. Ashton Kutcher, the movie star, heavily invested, very wanting to wake up the world about what's happening in the world right now. Mike Tyson, he just launched his own ATM network. Amazing, because you can be a comeback kid anytime you like. New York Stock Exchange has invested over $70 million to a startup called Coinbase last year. The MIT University, they have curriculum. They're heavy in the blockchain technology support system, and they are teaching the future of how money works. Our Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, says, virtual currency may hold a long-term promise, particularly if the innovation promote a faster, more secure, and more efficient payment system. This reference to Bitcoin literally probably doubled Bitcoin's value over the last 12 months. It's not just this reference, it's all the things together. Involved. Did any of these banks look familiar to you? We bank with Bank of America, Citibank, and Chase, and Wells, and American Express, and Barclays, and Goldman Sachs, and the London Stock Exchange. There's many more. Many more. Too much for the slideshow that we have here. But these banks, they didn't tell you that they're using your money to build platforms to utilize a free technology that you and I are sharing with the world today, and we're mining it and making the money that people would normally pay MasterCard and Visa to secure a transaction. That's how BitClub Network allows you and I to participate in this. But these banks have all conspired against its own customers. They're using your money off of your money again. Nothing changed. Did you get invited to the party? Literally. Did someone send you an invitation in the mail and tell you this is happening? Did your friend or family member call you and tell you? Some of you guys, that happened. And you know what? Janet and I have traveled the world. We are literally moving to Asia in January, February. And we looked back at ourselves and we said, if we, the rest of the people that we know hear about this from a distance, they're not going to be really happy with us. And we missed our family enough that we settled into a home, and we made our life back here in California again. And I can tell you one thing, that we're very happy we've stayed. We're very happy that we We're open to sharing this information with our friends and family because you know what? People are hurting out there. These banks have never cared about you and me. They just want your money. They want to give you access. But if you're poor, you have no access. And who's poor? 5.7 billion people in the world are poor. My shoebox, sorry about that, guys. The ecosystem of Bitcoin, what's going on there? So you have software, you have mining and hardware and custodian exchange. You know what? BitClub Network software in the hardware, and we're in the mining. We're literally opening up a Bitcoin processing platform early May. This is going to be big. So we'll be in the exchange in Bitcoin and transfers of that. It's going to be pretty amazing. So this is just a highlight of some recommended Bitcoin wallets. This is Coinbase. They're in the U.S. Whoever invited you should give you a link, because if you guys both put $100 into your account, Coinbase will put $110 into your account. They'll give you and your referral $10 for every $100 for the first $100 you activate with. Okay. Well, have they done well? 3 billion in transactions, 32 countries, 3.2 million customers. 6 months later, 3.5 billion, still in 32 countries, but 3.4 million customers. Over 200,000 people joined the Bitcoin revolution in the last 6 months. We know that BitClub Network is a big part of this system. BitStamp in the Philippines, one of my favorite wallets. You can literally use banking systems without bank cards or bank accounts. You can go to Cebuana and Security Bank and BDO and all places. You can buy Bitcoin using your pesos, and you can use your Bitcoin to get pesos. It is absolutely amazing, the technology that's available in the Philippines. They're way ahead of the curve as far as some Asian countries, and they make the United States look like we're standing still. You can do business globally with Bitcoin. Everywhere in the world, there's platforms being created. That's where this 1-point-something billion comes in, to get you and I warm and fuzzy to use Bitcoin to transact. But you don't need those platforms. You can use Bitcoin now. That's where BitClub Network is making people aware of. This is in Spain and Romania, where 10,000 bank ATMs you can cash out in euro dollars, receiving with using Bitcoin. Bitcoin is valued through Amazon. Take a referencing value of 88 billion in 2014 at 3% transaction fee. That's 2.6 billion a year in transactions to credit card processing. If you roll that money over to Bitcoin and you utilize Bitcoin as a transacting factor, Amazon can net another $1 billion on top of their original money, doubling profits. Bitcoin will go to $6,300 for one Bitcoin if you have that kind of flow coming in. Anyone who has friends or family outside of the country, or they came from another country, they understand what remittance is. This is not average for everybody, but 600 billion to 1 trillion per year is done every single year and growing. If you were to take that money, which hundreds of millions is already being transacted in billions now per year, if you were to take that transaction and utilize Bitcoin, one Bitcoin would go to 42,800 for having that kind of cash flow running through it. Gambling's big around the world. It's huge online. You're looking at online gambling. It's about a $30 billion market with a massive growth every year. If you take that 30 billion, which a lot of it's already being done in Bitcoin now, because they've understand that if you lose money on a credit card and you tell your bank that it wasn't you, there's a good chance that they'll let you waive it once. You do it again, it's going to be considered fraud. But the casino just lost its money. Again, it double paid you. So if you take that 30 billion, take it in Bitcoin, there's no charge frauds and no back charges. One Bitcoin goes to 2,142. Value gas stations in the U.S. at a 2% transaction, 234 billion. That's one Bitcoin, 34,400. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, the more the money that's in the Bitcoin space, the bigger the economy becomes. Taking this a step further, industries and different technologies that accept Bitcoin already, you can go to the Zynga starts, all the games, upgrades, you can use Bitcoin along with PayPal and your Discover and American Express, etc. Also, 3 million users can buy their virtual goods with Bitcoin at Bitcoins. These are the world's largest game. And if you use 5% currency, virtual currency plus, so it's a bonus. You get 5% extra. This is Raul Paul, and he took a very unique stance on micro and macroeconomics. He took Bitcoin into a very unique thing. He says if you stuck 5,000 into Bitcoin, go up to a gold equivalent of, let's say, 100 ounces of gold, which Bitcoin should be going in the next 2 or 3 years. Then at a current price, your Bitcoin stash would be worth $3.3 million for a 5,000 one-time valuing of Bitcoin. These are real stats and real numbers by real economists, real smart and rich people. This is Tim Draper, one of the guys who call him the Midas. He saw companies like Yahoo, he put the money up. When he saw companies like Tesla, he saw it. He said, this is going to be big. I'm going to put the money up. Many other home runs this guy has done, but he's won one thing. He's very strong in Bitcoin. He has many companies he's helped launch. But one thing he does say about Bitcoin, in the next 2 or 3 years, it is going to go to $10,000. That's just the nature of all the money and cash flow and acceptance around the world. Totaling up these numbers, Amazon 6,300, gambling 2,100, remittance 42,800, gas stations in the US 34,400, worldwide adoption. What could that number be? When we say 10,000, we're not very far-fetched. ATMs, technologies all over the world this is growing at an exponential number. It's very fast. There's new ATMs happening every day now. BitClub is not afraid to be part of this market. We have ATM networks in Portugal. This sitting in Ireland, Dublin. We have a standing order with these machines being built. Some of these machines you're looking at already in Indonesia, in Malaysia. This is a very fast-moving industry. We're big in it. This logo now, I can tell you today, since we acquired the domain name, it's called Coinpay. Coinpay.co. This is going to be our new merchant platform. This is what the merchant sees, and this is what you see as a referral when you have hundreds of merchants in your back office. You're watching how much money you're making from the merchants you referred who accept Bitcoin and the Club Coin. Another conversation for another day. So we also live. This is our Yelp app. This is going to be launched the same time. This is actually live right now. You can go to bit.life. You can see all the different places you can utilize Bitcoin all over the world. You use your address, and it'll tell you all the places you can go use Bitcoin. But this number is going to grow exponentially over the next 24 months like you've never seen another industry grow. There's documentaries, there's magazines and books. There's so much information to educate you on why Bitcoin is going to be revolutionary, why Bitcoin is widely going to be accepted around the world, and why you need to be part of it now. So, we charge a $99 membership fee for one time. It's a lifetime membership. You go to blockchain.info or Coinbase or Circle, or the person who invited you can tell you how to get the Bitcoin. You could only join with Bitcoin. We do not accept currencies. BitClub Network does not even recognize any currency. It only recognizes Bitcoin, and that happens in real time. So from this point forward, I'm going to share one conversation with you. If you told people about BitClub Network and you were to get one of these mining pools, whether it's the 500 to 1,000 or 2,000 or all three of the pools is 3,500, which is the highest recommended you should go, because technically we only sell at 3,500, but we let you make down payments towards that big one, the 500 to 1,000, 2,000. This is always end in mind is for you to be a founder, because that's where you get the greatest return and that's where you have the most benefit and perks. If you told no one, this you every day in perpetuity. It will give you a 50, 60, or 70% profit share, and 50, 40, and 30 will go back in to keep you in the business. This is so you are never required to add another dollar to your account. This not only will, but if Bitcoin does what we think it's going to do, you're talking a 22 multiple in the next 3 years. This is not far-fetched. Seeing how Bitcoin was a penny and it went to 400, which is 4,000%. Now, from this point forward, I'm going to share the referral-based plan, because if you just got in and bought the contract and told nobody, all the things I just shared with you will happen. Now, if you go on with somebody, we are going to pay you 5% on the first 2 contracts you sell. We're going to give you a 10% that happens. That's the 50, the 40, and the 30. That repurchasing money, you get to get 10% of that in perpetuity for the life of the contracts. When you tell your third, fourth, and fifth person, you open up a new code. That's 6% of whatever they buy. They buy a $1,000 contract. I don't know how many of those you got to sell per month to pay your bills or just to get by. That would be some pretty good money. But wait, if you tell 2, and then there's a 1% to infinity override. Her first 2, and her first 2, and their first 2, and their first 2, you make a 1% infinity override. 1% of 3,500 is $35. I get these little 1%ers every single day. I love them to death. They're incredible. On your 6th, 7th, and 8th person, because if you told 5, 7%. Every industry has a scale where you start off at minimum wage, get a raise, retire at 40% of whatever you're making, and die. I'm just kidding. BitClub Network is constantly giving you a chance to get more money. One person, you trigger 7%. When you tell your first 2, you make 2% now. 2% of 3,500 is $70 through infinity. And if you get the third and fourth person in there, through that person that you're helping share the business model with, you make 1%. You're back to your 35 again. But that's on the first 5 of everyone's first 5. This happens automatically. You don't have to do anything. Now, if you've done, you can surely do 9 or better. At 9 or better, 8% a person you sell a contract to of whatever amount they buy, but when you help them duplicate and they go out and tell 2, you make 3%. They go out and tell 3 more, you make 2%. They go out and tell 3 more, you make 1%. These percentages off the first 8 of everyone's first 8. This is big money. Now, who likes additional money? I'm pretty sure all of you guys smiled right now. Additional money means that you're going to be able to receive, on top of the immediate commissions we pay instantly. If you need money by Friday, I think today's Friday in America, if you need money by the end of the night, go out and sell a contract, we'll pay you the same day. This is real-time money. Every commissions from 800 to 2,000 per day. We were so fortunate and blessed and honored to recruit 2 people who were able to find two amazing two people, one left, one right, went to work, you could make 800 to 2,000 per day. And I can tell you that from experience, because when a compensation plan did this plan, I've never made less than 2,000 per day on this commission. Now, making money from helping people make money. This is where I get the biggest reward mentally and physically when I see it. When I help my people receive a $200 cycle, I will make $10 on 8 generations, what they call dynamic compression. That just means that if there's 100 levels of people and 8 anywhere grab a commission, I will get paid $10 times as many people as that generation has cycled. That could be 50 people in the one row. It's $500 extra in one day. It's very big money. Don't dismiss $10. $10 can literally make you thousands per day because I do it. So I'm not going to get into the generational bonuses, but I want you to understand there's a lot of commissions here, a lot of money for helping building teams, a lot of teams growing and the repurchasing happening. This money goes from 10 to 18% on the passive side, and it just goes through infinity. This money is for help generational bonuses. My favorite of all time of the world, because normally you have to die to get a residual, but BitClub Network starts you off day one with residual infinity bonus. These little pieces of bonus, if you're getting 1 or 2% extra generation, these people in your organization world are selling a contract 500 and you make 1%. You'll make a first and second generation of 1% through a builder, which is a, and you can make it through 3 generations of that in depth, meaning pro builder and master builder. 111, first generation, 111, second generation, 0.5% on the next 2. And as a master builder, your third generation, you're making too much money, give it to somebody else. Anyways, this is a lot of money. A lot of things are happening. So it is well said that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe they before. This is Henry Ford in reference to people learning how to make money, especially in the investment side. You money. We're all used to and taught that go get a good job, be very loyal to your boss and your company, get a retirement 40 years later, and live off a full of whatever you've earned in an economy that's 300% more expensive than when you got started, and try to keep that going for a little while till your what do they call that? Your Social Security kicks in, and most people don't believe that even exists anymore. But this was a quote when he interviewed for Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now I'm gonna end my webinar here. I'm gonna say goodbye on the recording, and I'm gonna open the lines up now.